Hello and welcome to the Crib Child Rights in Business podcast, brought to you by the Centre for Child Rights in Business. You're tuning in to the final episode of Season 2. In our previous episode, we spoke with Simon Bell from Amba Estate, where the Centre recently co-hosted an experiential workshop on sustainable agri-tourism. During this workshop, we had the pleasure of meeting Diana Jendoubi, a writer for Tea Journey. Today, Diana shares her insights on Sri Lanka's tea industry, what drives sustainability, and the role of consumers in supporting tea communities. Plus, we learn more about Tea Journey, a digital magazine bringing global stories from the tea world in over a dozen languages. Let's jump into that conversation.
Hello everyone, we have a special guest with us, Diana from Tea Journey.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Let's begin with what Tea Journey is all about and its history.
Certainly, well, Tea Journey is a magazine, an online subscription magazine that was formed to really give voice to the origins of tea and to tea producers, but not only that, to also connect consumers and producers and bring them together. Our owner, Dan Bolton, founded it about 16 years ago when he was just coming back from a journey with several other tea writers from all over the world who spoke different languages, and listening to everyone talk about how difficult it was to get tea stories published. You know, not every magazine really wants to cover this section. And he, in his mind, in the back of his mind, he thought, gosh, wouldn't it be great if there was just one publication, one place that could bring all the tea origins together, that could bring stories in different languages, everything connecting the tea world into one place. So that was the idea behind Tea Journey, and that's how it was born. He started a Kickstarter fund, and they raised a ton of money. It was actually one of the most successful Kickstarter funds in the history of Kickstarter, so that was really exciting. That many people love tea and want to read about it. And then since then, we've started our subscription. So we're online based, and we also are connected to the Tea Biz podcast, which is Dan's business podcast. So we do a business side, and then Tea Journey is all about the heart and the community and the origins.
I understand that you have been traveling around Sri Lanka for the past month, visiting several tea estates. So what has been some of the key takeaways from your experience and observations in relation to the sustainability challenges and practices here in Sri Lanka?
Yes, I have had the absolute immense pleasure of spending a month now in Sri Lanka, touring tea estates, tea regions, but not only that, just meeting people. I mean, I've been lucky and fortunate enough to travel the world, a lot of the world, and I have to admit that Sri Lanka is one of the most beautiful countries I've ever seen, and the people are some of the most friendly and hospitable people I've ever encountered. Sri Lankans themselves are just so proud of their country and so happy to share with anyone who wants to come here, that I have not had a single bad experience my whole month here. It's been incredible. And one of the things with sustainability that I find with the tea industry is that the tea industry itself is really striving to change, is really wants to work hard to make changes. I know that there are a lot of issues, there's a lot of difficulties, there have been a lot of negative things to be printed about the Ceylon tea industry right now, but what I have encountered from the big estates to the little estates, from the tea shops to the tea rooms, is people who have pride in their industry and pride in the cleanliness of Ceylon tea and the quality of Ceylon tea, pride in the history of Ceylon tea, and that is just so beautiful and unique. And I just see an industry that knows it has issues, but is not embarrassed to talk about them and is willing to admit that things need to be changed. And I've also seen a lot of collaboration. A lot of the states I've gone to are constantly hosting workers, pickers, university students from all over the country coming through, having workshops from the largest states to the smallest states. That's something I've actually been really impressed with, is the amount of collaboration I see happening. And it's starting small. Obviously, there are people who are resistant to it, but what I'm impressed with is the fact that I see a willingness, a humbleness to admit that things aren't working and things need to be changed, and I am really impressed by that. It's really awesome.
So here we are at Amba Estate, where we coincidentally met after the Colombo Tea Convention, and we have this ongoing experiential workshop on sustainable agro tourism at the centre in collaboration with Amba Estate is carrying out for estate managers, and we were fortunate to have you join in for the first day. What has been some of your observations, or is there anything that you would like to share from this workshop?
Yes, this workshop has been so enlightening. I have learned so much just as being an observer, just listening to the dialogue and the communication happening between some of the larger estate plantation managers and the smaller ones. Obviously, AMBA is a utopia. AMBA has worked hard to create a business model that is based on social sustainability, environmental sustainability, and obviously economic sustainability. And it's really successful. And the reason AMBA is successful is because, obviously environmental sustainability is key. Their grounds are incredible. If you walk their plantation, you know that it's a healthy, happy environment, but it's also a healthy, happy work environment. And I know one of the reasons for that is because they emphasize social sustainability, and that their key pillar is giving respect and dignity to their workers. They believe in educating every employee to do every job on the estate. From the managers to the pluckers, everyone is a tea artisan. Everyone knows how to do every level, every step of the process. And therefore, that gives the employees an accountability, but also a pride in knowing that the leaves they plucked yesterday are the leaves they're processing today. And they know, I did a good job plucking yesterday, or, maybe I didn't do so good a job, or the weather. They know why things are important. And having that sense of education and ownership, you can really tell that these are people that are committed to the success of this establishment, of this estate. And I have seen other estates that are doing things in not quite the exact same way. AMBA is truly unique, but I have seen estates that are really trying to improve the lives of their workers. There are estates, I just came from Calais Tea, and they are really emphasizing community education and community integration. Obviously, they have Tamil workers, their village, they have Sinhalese. It's very important to them that the children of their estate workers go to the same school as the Sinhalese children, and that's a really beautiful statement. And they met resistance in the beginning. The local authorities didn't want the children to go to the same school, so they didn't. They educated them separately, and then the local schools saw that the Tamil children were receiving a very good education and that they deserved to be in the same school as the village kids. And now they've managed to raise money through charity, and they've built an entirely new school for them with computer labs, and they're getting English lessons, they're getting all kinds of amazing opportunities. And it's really beautiful. I saw one of their girls was just elected to the local assembly, and it was just, we had a little ceremony. It was very exciting. And also another thing that Calais is doing is their workers are assembling a workers committee, and they're electing their own leadership. They're drafting their own constitutions, and it's part of the Fair Trade Worker Association, but it's also important to Calais owners that these workers know that they have a voice and they want them to use it. And I was able to sit into one of their meetings, and it was really inspiring. It's slow starts. Obviously, this is not a culture that these workers are used to being given such authority, such voice. But the owners are encouraging it and asking them to please, we want this. You speak for yourself. We want to hear from you. And speaking at the workshop to some of the other larger estate owners, I can see that they're really also trying to make a difference. Some are making efforts to really improve the quality of life of their workers, as in encouraging husbands and wives to actually enjoy time together. I see the larger estates are really trying to encourage family stability, and they want their workers to be happy. They want to find ways to make their workers happy, healthier, and I see that there is a dialogue there, and the large estates are also doing their part. Obviously, I know there's a long way to go, but I have been impressed. I see people asking questions, having open conversations, and really trying to make a difference.
What you have shared just now really highlights one of the key principles that the center believes in, that providing decent work for parents and caregivers is such an important fundamental part of business, and especially to have the business sustainable and that there is a flourishing community surrounding the industry. That said, I would like to hear from you about the consumer angle. What can the consumer, the tea lover, do to contribute to this very important global dialogue that is going on increasing the value and pricing of tea so that it is fair for the producers?
Absolutely. Well, that's one of Tea Journey's mission statements. Our goal is to educate consumers. That's the first step. Obviously, it's hard when you're in the grocery store and you're staring at a shelf of tea boxes and you don't know why one costs more than the other and you don't know which one to buy. It starts with education. It starts with understanding, well, what's important to you? I mean, obviously saving money is important, but this is an everyday staple. I mean, this is something you put in your body every day. Tea is a healthy beverage. So getting the consumer to understand, okay, this one tea costs more. Why? Why does it cost more? That comes to telling the brand story, not just the brand story, but literally the story of the person who grew the tea, the community who is behind the tea. That is the most important thing. And I know we've talked about this at the workshop as well this week, but telling the story creates connections. And it puts a face, it puts a picture to the box. You know, you can put the picture of a lovely woman plucking tea on the box, but they don't really understand who that person is or why, what's her story. So it's so important for a consumer to be educated, but it's also important for the producers and the brands themselves to really be transparent and to share their stories. I understand sometimes brands might be nervous thinking, oh, a person in a Western country such as Europe or the America, they don't want to see our workers' villages or they don't want to see, but it's like, no, that's not true. We do want to see. I mean, obviously we can't judge it by our standards, but it's important to have transparency. Transparency, obviously, from the chemicals or the chemicals that don't go into the ground, from the way you pluck your tea, from the way you process your tea, to the cleanliness of your factory, but also to the way the workers are treated and the way that they live. We want transparency at every level. And that amount of openness is frightening, and I understand that, but it also, that vulnerability is what makes the consumer feel connected. It's what draws the consumer in. If you're willing to be completely transparent, then that consumer knows there's no secrets. This brand is for me. This brand aligns with my personal values. And that's the good thing about the younger generations. I mean, they really want to buy products that align with their personal values, and they're willing to do the research. So the thing is if you can make a website, you can tell your brand story and you can get a consumer to understand. You know, you don't have to have fancy marketing. It can be a Facebook page. I mean, now with the power of social media, it doesn't even have to be a private website. It can literally be it can be an Instagram page. It can be a social media page. It can be a TikTok video. It can be a YouTube video. You don't need to spend a lot of money on marketing. You just need to tell your story. And that will really help educate the consumers, because yes, a consumer does need to understand, well, why is this tea cost more? But once they see, oh, because it's hand plucked, it's hand rolled, it's hand processed, there's no chemicals that have gone into it, it's been fertilized by cows on the estate, things like that. Once the consumer understands that, they're happy to pay more because they know it's worth it. They know there's a value to that extra cost. And I think that's something that Ceylon tea makers are realizing, because this is a clean tea industry. I mean, the estates are running the best that they can. I mean, obviously there's still things that need to be changed, but compared to other countries, this is a clean industry. And the quality is there. Even in the bulk and the commodity teas, the quality is higher than in some other places. So that is something that Ceylon Tea should be really showcasing more, helping to educate the consumers and really just creating connections. It's all about creating connections between the communities.
Talking about connections and communicating stories and social media handles, please do share Tea Journey's social media handles with the listeners.
Absolutely. You can find Tea Journey at teajourney.pub. That's our website. And then we're also on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn as Tea Journey. So we're across all of those. And then Tea Business Podcast is Tea Biz on YouTube and wherever you find your podcasts.
So thank you very much, Diana, for joining the Crib podcast. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
We've come to the end of season 2 of our podcast. We're so grateful to all of our listeners for tuning in and supporting us. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed having these conversations and bringing them to you. We also want to give a special shout out to our incredible guests this season. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights into the global tea industry. If you missed any episodes, you can catch up on seasons 1 and 2 on all major podcast platforms and on the Centre's website. Look out for a new season of the Crib podcast coming your way in 2025. But until then, take care.